The hall of the Galactic Council was massive and cold, some with claws, some with glowing eyes. And today, they had gathered for one reason: to judge humanity. In the middle of the hall stood a single human. He wore a clean white suit, his hands behind his back. His face showed no fear, only calm. His name was Commander Elias Rayner, and he was the last voice of Earth in this place. An alien with blue skin and 6 eyes stood and spoke loudly. The Galactic Council is now in session. The trial of the human race begins. A low hum filled the room. 1,000 alien voices whispered. Many believed this trial was just a formality. They had already decided what would happen. The decision had been made long ago. One of the elders, a creature of light known as Jarkal, pointed at Elias. Humans are dangerous. They expand too fast. They fight too hard. They refuse to follow our rules. Elias didn't move. His eyes scanned the room slowly. He had been here before. Years ago, trying to make peace. Back then, they had smiled. Back then, they promised to watch and guide. Now they were here to destroy. Another council member, a thin, shadowy being called Vorex, hissed. Your kind fights wars for pride. You mine planets until they bleed. You are chaos in a fragile galaxy. Elias finally spoke. His voice was strong, but calm. We fought because we had to. We tried to work with the council. We followed your laws, said Jarkal. You never were. The council chair rose. She was ancient, her body like crystal, her voice like ice. The council votes. Earth is hereby exiled. All human ships, colonies, and stations are to be removed from known space. No trade, no help, no return. You are lucky, Vorex sneered. We should have destroyed you. Elias stepped forward. His calm voice turned sharp. You should have. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Security bots moved toward him, but he raised one hand. There were thousands military ships, colony ships, science vessels, cargo haulers. All had been pushed out of council space. No help was coming, no planets to land on, no allies left. Elias stood on the bridge of the command ship horizons. Flame. He watched the stars slowly pass by. Families on board were scared. Supplies were limited, and worst of all, hope was thin. But Elias was not afraid. He turned to his officers. The council believes we'll die out here. We might, sir, his second-in-command said. These systems are dead. There's nothing here but broken rocks and radiation storms. Then we'll build on broken rocks, Elias said. We'll mine the storms. With will, 2 months later, planet Xylanine. The planet was small and cold, and deep below the surface, heat. The first human colony was built in silence. It was not beautiful, but it was strong. People worked day and night. Engineers turned alien wreckage into power plants. Scientists studied strange energy fields. Children learned to survive in dark tunnels. There were no songs, no celebrations. Something new began. Ships were built not like the old ones. These were faster, quieter, smarter. The exile. And they prepared for the day they would return back in council. Space 2, 5 years later, freighter disappeared near the rim. Then a patrol ship. Then a spy satellite lost contact. The council launched an investigation, but it was already too late. Humanity had not died. They had evolved. The stars were cold in the outer void. This part of space had no maps, no friendly signals, and no mercy. Radiation storms moved like wild beasts. Dead planets spun in silence. Broken moons hung in the darkness like bones of forgotten worlds. And in the middle of all this, humanity was still alive. 7 years after the exile, the first few years were full of pain. Many ships broke down. Colonists died from strange space sickness. Supplies ran out. Food had to be grown underground. Children were born into fear. Hope was low, but humans refused to die. Commander Elias Rayner, now older and harder, stood in the center of a deep cave colony on planet Xylanine. He wore a worn-out coat. His eyes showed the weight of a man who had watched his people suffer and still believed. Every child here, he said to his officers, must learn to build a rifle before they learn to read. Every engineer must also be a soldier. Every scientist must learn how to survive without air, light, or help. There were no arguments. These rules kept them alive. The discovery one day, a scouting team exploring a nearby system found something strange, a black cube floating in orbit around a frozen gas giant. It looked dead. But when they brought it back, it came to life. The cube was ancient alien technology, left behind by a long-lost race. It spoke in pulses of light and hums. Human scientists worked on it for months, and slowly it began to reveal secret weapons, shields. The Fire Children years passed. Children who were once afraid now trained in zero-gravity combat. Teenagers learned to code alien languages. Tiny schools taught tactics, strategy, hacking, and warship command. A young girl named Rhea, born after the exile, became a legend in the colonies. She could fly a fighter ship before she could ride a bike. Genius, new ships were built. These weren't like the old council ships. These were silent hunters, able to warp without detection. Their weapons fired pure energy. Their armor could vanish like smoke. They were painted black and red, trained for one thing only: return. A silent war begins across the galaxy. Strange things began to happen. A council patrol ship vanished without a trace. A mining colony lost power after a mysterious EMP wave. A listening post picked up an old Earth song in the static. We'll meet again. But there was never any proof, just shadows, just whispers. The council didn't believe it, or systems breaking down. But one council admiral, Threx Veruin, wasn't so sure. A message from the dark one night, a council diplomat received a private transmission. It came from a dead system. No ID, no name. Just one voice, speaking in calm English. You banished us, you forgot us, but we remember. Then the screen showed a single word in blood-red letters: soon. Back on Xylon 9, Commander Elias stood beside Rhea and watched the stars. Are we ready? She asked. Not yet, he said, but we will be. In front of them, dozens of warships hovered in silence. Soldiers marched, engineers worked without rest, children trained in combat domes. The human spirit had not died in exile, it had been reborn in fire and ice. The stars over Sector V9 were quiet. A large council freighter floated calmly through space. It was old, unarmed, and slow. It carried food, tools, and fuel to a nearby colony. The crew laughed, played music, and had no fear. They had no reason to fear until the silence changed. Disappearance without a trace, 2 hours after leaving a refueling station. The freighter vanished. No signal, no call for help, no distress beacon, just silence. When search teams arrived, they found nothing: no wreckage, no black box, not even heat. Only one thing remained: a strange burned mark on a nearby asteroid, an old Earth symbol, a circle with a line through it. Below it, one word: remember. The council grew uneasy. They called it an accident. But at WASN, single quotes: the Elias watches the first strike on a distant command ship, hidden inside a nebula cloud. Commander Elias Rayner watched the mission footage. The first real test of the stealth cruiser Whisperblade had been a success. No one had seen them coming. No one knew what happened, and now fear had begun to grow. Elias stood still, his hands behind his back. Send the next team, he said, Ghost. Attacks across the stars over the next few weeks. A council warship vanished near a black hole's orbit. A spy satellite sent back a 3-second clip of Earth soldiers walking through a corridor, then went dark. A communication tower on a remote moon exploded without warning. Alien traders whispered about a new enemy, one that moved without sound and attacked without mercy. No one could trace the source. The council called it a pirate crisis. But one admiral, Threx Veruin, studied the pattern. He remembered Earth's exile. He started to fear the truth. Rhea's Missionaria, now a skilled pilot and commander, led her first deep strike mission. Her ship, Silent Ember, had a crew of 6 Shung, trained and ready. Their target, a council outpost storing valuable tech. They dropped from hyperspace like shadows. They bypassed the scanners using cloaking fields. They moved in complete silence. When the guards saw them, it was already too late. In 5 minutes, the base was disabled. The tech was stolen. The team left no bodies. Only a warning burned into the floor. We remember the void. Fear spreads in the council across the galaxy. The fear grew. Alien leaders held secret meetings. Who are they? What do they want? Are they ... human? But no one wanted to believe it. The thought was too dangerous. Humans were supposed to be gone, forgotten, lost in exile, yet now entire sectors were whispering, "The humans are back." A secret meeting on a distant moon. Threx Veruin met with a former smuggler and alien who claimed to have seen something. The smuggler's hands shook as he told the story. "I saw the ship," he said. "It had no light, no sound. It flew like a shadow, and on its side, was a burning planet." Threx narrowed his eyes. "Earth," the smuggler nodded. "They're not like before. They're faster, smarter, colder. They didn't kill me. They just let me go. They wanted me to talk." Threx stood and stared into the night sky. "They're sending a message." Inside the human command ship, Elias sat with his advisors inside Judgment, the largest human warship ever built. His eyes scanned the star map. Each blinking red dot showed a successful mission. Each blinking yellow dot showed a council target. "We are ghosts in their systems," Rhea said proudly. "They still don't know how many of us there are," another officer added. "They think we're small. They'll find out soon," Elias said. "But not yet. First, we break their courage." He gave the order. "Strike the supply lines. No losses, no names, only fear." Alien propaganda begins to fail, the council. Tried to control the panic. News channels told the public that pirates were to blame. They showed false images, lied about locations, threatened anyone who spoke of Earth. But it didn't work. Whispers spread. People began to ask questions. Some even hoped the stories were true, because in secret, many aliens hated the council too. Deep in a dead star system where even light refused to stay, something was being built. The system had no name. It had no planets, only rocks, dust, and the quiet hum of secret machines. No council scanners reached this place. No patrols passed by. It was too far, too empty. That's why humanity chose it. Birth of Judgment in the center of the system, hidden. Behind a small moon floated a giant warship code name. Judgment. It was nothing like the old Earth ships, and nothing like any council ship either. It was the size of a city. Its armor was layered with alien metals and cloaking fields. Its engines were silent, powered by an unstable mix of human fusion and ancient alien gravity cores. Its weapon, the system was known only by one name, the Silence Rhea beam that did not burn. It erased. Commander Elias Rayner stood inside the command deck, staring at the ship from a viewing platform. "It's ready," said the lead engineer, a woman named Dr. Lynn Sora. Elias didn't smile. "Then we begin the trials." First test. The empty moon. They aimed Judgment at a dead moon nearby, cold, lifeless, made of iron. Inside the control room. Rhea watched the weapon power up. The lights dimmed. The ship didn't make a sound. It only waited. "Fire," Elias said. A pale beam flashed from the ship's core. The moon vanished, not exploded, not broken, just gone. Where the moon had been, there was now only dust and silence. Everyone inside the ship stood still. The room was quiet. No cheering. No words. They had just created something that should not exist. Fear among their own later that day. In the dark halls of the ship, a few engineers whispered among themselves. "This is too much." One said, "We don't need this kind of weapon." Another replied, "The council has planets, fleets, millions of ships. If we don't match their strength, we die again. But this can erase worlds nearby." Rhea overheard them. She didn't say anything, but her face was tight with worry. She remembered Elias's words. This isn't for revenge, this is for survival. But deep inside, she felt something else growing, fear of their own power. Council panic grows back in council space. The attacks continued. A power station on planet Yun 3 disappeared. A science station went silent after detecting a strange energy signature. A ship carrying 3 council leaders vanished mid-flight, and once again, no wreckage, no survivors, only one message burned into the last piece of metal found: "Judgment is coming." The name spread like wildfire. At first, they thought Judgment was a person, a commander, a ghost, but soon they discovered something worse. Judgment was a ship, and it was real. The Admiral's warning, Admiral Threx Veruin, who had been tracking the attacks, stood in front of the High Council. He placed star maps on the table. All showed one thing: the attacks were moving inward, toward the Council's core worlds. "This is not random," he said. "This is war, quiet war, and they are winning." One elder shook her head. "They're just shadows, rebels, terrorists, threats." Raised his voice, "No, they are Earth. They are not dead. And they have made something, unnatural." He paused, then added, "If we don't stop them now, we won't get another chance." A debate among humans on the ship Judgment. The leaders of humanity met. Some said they should use the weapon now, attack the Council head-on. Others warned that such a weapon would make humanity no better than those who exiled them. Elias stood and raised his voice. "We were sent to die. We survived. We have earned the right to return. But we must be more than they expect. We use this ship not to destroy their worlds, but to break their fear." Rhea added, "Strike hard." But strike smart. The plan was made. A message of power: a Council warbase, called Narrated Shield, floated near the trade routes. It had over 10,000 troops, 500 ships, and the strongest shield array in the sector. It had never fallen until now. Judgment appeared out of nowhere. One silent flash later, the entire base was gone. No warning, no escape. In its place, a human probe appeared and broadcasted a single message: "This is Judgment. We do not ask for peace, we bring it by force." Alien races begin to waver after the fall of Narrated Shield. Panic erupted across Council systems. Some races began to question their loyalty. Protests broke out. Smaller species sent secret messages to human forces saying, "We want freedom to teach us." Elias received those messages. He didn't reply yet, but he smiled, because now even the Council's oldest allies were starting to break. The planet Veltrax Prime was known as the jewel of the Council. It was beautiful green skies, golden oceans, giant silver cities that touched the clouds. It was the first world ever to join the Galactic Council. For thousands of years, it was safe, rich, and proud. No enemy had ever touched it. No one ever tried until now. Shadow over Veltrax at first. It was just a rumor, a human ship seen near the outer moons. Then another. The Council sent patrols to search, but found nothing. Something didn't feel right. Admiral Threx Varuin stood in the main war tower of Veltrax. He stared at the stars above. "We've grown lazy," he whispered. "We thought power made us untouchable." Behind him, officers hurried, scanning for signs of trouble, but trouble had already come. All satellites around the planet went dark. Then the skies turned red dot from the edge of the system. 3 human warships entered space, small, fast, deadly. They didn't attack the defenses first, they hacked them within seconds. The entire defense grid collapsed. Sirens echoed in the cities. Panic spread. People looked to the skies in fear. And then, from the darkness, Judgment. Arrived the wrath of Judgment. The giant ship floated slowly above the planet like a god of war. It didn't speak. It didn't fire. It just waited. Below, people screamed. Some prayed. Some tried to flee. But then came the real terror. A single, massive shockwave not aimed at the people, but at the government center. The top floors of the High Council Tower exploded in one strike. Humanity had erased the planet's leadership, but they left the rest untouched. A message of fire as fires burned in the capital. Every screen on Veltrax turned on by itself. Commander Elias Rayner appeared on screen. Calm, cold, in full command uniform. He spoke slowly. "We remember. Your Judgment? You thought exile would break us. You thought the cold would kill us. But the cold made us stronger. We came back not to beg. We came back to show you that Earth cannot be erased." Then the screen faded. Council chaos back in Council space. Panic spread faster than fire. Veltrax, primed, the symbol of their power, had been attacked, not destroyed. Conquered in spirit, Council leaders screamed in fear. They blamed each other. They held emergency votes. They demanded retribution. But the truth was clear. Humanity had walked into their most protected world and left it burning. A choice for the people on Veltrax. Something strange happened. The people, once loyal to the Council, did not rise against the humans. They were angry, but not at Earth. They were angry at the Council. A group of alien workers even painted a symbol on the wall, a burning Earth rising from ash. the new symbol of human strength, and beside it they wrote, "Maybe the exiled are the ones who truly deserve the stars." Internal division inside the Judgment warship. Some human commanders wanted to finish the job to destroy Veltrax entirely. But Elias said no, we don't want their ashes, he said. We want their respect and their fear. Rhea agreed. This wasn't destruction, it was a message. We're not here to destroy worlds, we're here to shake the galaxy. And they had. Threx's last warning, Admiral Threx, injured but alive, recorded one last message to the Council before vanishing underground. You ignored my warnings. You laughed when I spoke of Earth. Now they have reached the heart of our strength, and they didn't even try to hide. They wanted us to see. They want the galaxy to watch. And now the galaxy is listening. Veltrax Prime was still burning. When the first message came, it was short, simple, and sent from a Council-controlled planet light years away. We are not your enemies. We want to join you. Commander Elias Rayner read it twice, then looked at Rhea. They're starting to wake up, he said. Now the real war begins. Cracks in the Council. The Galactic Council had ruled the galaxy. For thousands of years, their laws were strict, their power unmatched. Most races followed them out of fear, not loyalty. But now, after the attack on Veltrax, that fear had changed. It was no longer fear of the Council, it was fear of Earth. Inside Council meetings, leaders argued like wild animals. We must strike Earth at once, no find them first. They are spreading faster than we can track. Meanwhile, on dozens of Council planets, strange things were happening. Council ships went missing. Weapons depots were raided by invisible enemies. Anti-Council symbols appeared on walls at night. And worst of all, some alien soldiers began to desert. The first alliance, a small, alien race called the Varnock, was the first to act. They were short, with scaled skin and glowing eyes. For years, they had been treated like slaves by the Council for mining and labor. Now they sent a secret message to Earth. We are ready. Teach us to fight. Elias and his team met the Varnock leaders in deep space. No cameras, no warships, just trust. Rhea trained their first soldiers. Human engineers upgraded their tools. Within weeks, the Varnock had a hidden army and a purpose. Other species rise soon after. The Trellin, a race of winged scholars, offered knowledge and maps. The graphic giant lizard warriors offered soldiers and combat ships. Even some Council defectors aliens tired of Lysiford inside information. A new network was forming, a shadow alliance led by humans. A plan in the Darken, a secret asteroid base. Elias stood before the new allies. This is not just about Earth anymore, he said. This is about all of you. He pointed at a hologram of the Council's inner systems. Each of you was broken, used, controlled. But together, we are stronger than the ones who ruled us. Rhea stepped forward. We strike next, at Zarathviva, Factory World. If we take it, the Council loses weapons, fuel, and fear. The plan was set. The battle for Zarath 5, was cold, gray, and full of machines. Thousands of drones worked day and night, building ships for the Council war fleets. They never expected a mixed army attack. At dawn, the battle began. Human stealth ships knocked out the sky defenses. Graphic warriors smashed ground units. Varnock sappers planted charges deep in the fuel chambers. Trellin drones jammed the Comus in just 12 minutes. Zarath 5 was under human control, and Agenulus didn't destroy it. He sent a message. We don't want your planets. We want your chains broken. Council desperation, the Council was shaken. How could humans once exiled now lead entire alien armies? One Council leader said in fear, they are becoming a storm that carries others with them. The Supreme Speaker gave one final command. No more whispers, no more warnings. Find Earth, crush them, or we lose the stars. A test of loyalty. In a hidden base, Elias received a new message from a race called the Derrican. They had been loyal to the Council for centuries. Now they wanted to join Earth. But Rhea wasn't sure. They might be spies. Elias nodded. Then we test them. He gave them a choice. Help free a Council, prison planet, or walk away. The Derrican chose to fight. They led the mission themselves. Freed thousands, burned the prison towers. Left behind only one word, free. They passed the test. Hope spreads on hundreds of planets. People began to whisper Earth's name with hope, not fear. Some began to sing forbidden Earth songs. Some painted stars with fire around them, the symbol of the human return. One alien child asked their parent, "Are the humans bad?" The parent smiled softly. "No, the humans are angry, but maybe they are exactly what the galaxy needs." The council was falling apart. World after world had begun to rebel. Factories had stopped. Soldiers had defected. Fear was growing faster than warships could be built. But instead of listening, the council made a decision that would change everything. They decided to launch a full assault knot on Earth. But on the last known location of the human fleet, they called it Operation Final Silence. It would become the biggest mistake in galactic history. The Battleius Raynor stood inside the war room of the ship Judgment. A glowing hologram of the council fleet appeared above the table. "They've taken the bait," he said calmly. "They think we're hiding near the Korgan Nebula," added Rhea. "They sent everything," said a Varnak officer. 3 dreadnoughts, 12 cruisers, 50 support ships. "And they still won't find us," Elias said, "because that system is our trap." The human webwhile, the council fleet, rushed toward the Korgan system. They didn't know one thing. The nebula was full of human tech, cloaked mines hidden in asteroid fields, EMP generators on frozen moons, stealth turrets buried in rocks, and worst of all, Judgment. Waiting in the shadows, it wasn't just a trap, it was a war web. And once the council fleet entered, they would never leave. The battle begins as the council ships moved into the nebula. Something strange happened. Their scanners went dark. Their communication lines cut out, and the stars disappeared behind thick clouds of gas and radiation. Then the first mine exploded. One council destroyer vanished in a flash of light. Then another. Ships turned in confusion. But it was already too late. From behind a moon, Judgment emerged, silent and terrifying. It fired once. A council flagship disappeared. The war had begun, chaos in the clouds inside. The nebula, human stealth ships darted between council lines, disabling engines. Allied alien fighters Varnak Trellin. Grothic struck with precision. EMP bursts shut down cruisers, leaving them helpless. The council fleet fought back, but they were disorganized, trapped, scared. Admiral Threx Verowin, aboard the last functioning dreadnought, gave the final order, "Retreat. Get us out of this cloud." But their engines were already fried, and their exit route was gone. The last stand of Threx Verun Threx stood on the bridge of his burning ship. He watched as Judgment turned toward him. He knew this was the end, but instead of fear, he felt something else: respect. They were exiled, he whispered to his crew, and they came back stronger than all of us. He looked at the stars one last time, then Judgment fired. The aftermath, the battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the council had lost over 70 ships, the largest fleet in galactic history. The few survivors were allowed to leave with a message: "We gave you a chance. You chose war. Now you will have it." The council crumbles back in the capital. The news hit like thunder. Leaders screamed. Factions split. Some blamed the humans. Others blamed their own arrogance. A few even surrendered their systems to Earth's new alliance, hoping to be spared. Was no longer a symbol of order. It was a broken shell. A new leader speaks on the Judgment ship. Commander Elias addressed the galaxy through a secure broadcast. His face appeared on every screen, every channel. He spoke slowly and clearly. "We were sent away. We were told we did not belong. You feared us and tried to erase us. But we've returned not with hate, but with strength. You gave us exile. We give you a choice. Join us and build something better. Or stand against us and be broken." Then the screen faded to black. Across the stars, silence after that message. The galaxy didn't respond right away. But over the next few days, 10 more alien governments joined the human alliance. More council fleets refused to fight. A peaceful protest on a council world turned into a revolution, and in every spaceport, every station, one word echoed again and again: Judgment. Rhea's quiet moment that night. Rhea stood alone in the observation deck of Judgment. She looked out at the stars. They no longer felt cold, they felt open. Possible she remembered being a child in the tunnels of Xylon. 9 cold, hungry, forgotten. Now she stood at the edge of the galaxy. As a leader, Elias walked up beside her. "You did well," he said. "So did you," she replied. He nodded. But it's not over. The galactic capital was unlike any other place in the galaxy. Built on a planet called Oran 1, it had towers, made of crystal, floating cities in the sky, and a council dome that stretched miles into the air. This was the heart of power, the place where humanity had once been judged and cast out. Now, after decades in exile, they were coming back. The final march begins above Oran 1. Sensors began to fail. Lights blinked out. Defense satellites turned offline. The council panicked. What's happening? They're here. Ready the fleets. But there were no fleets left. Only broken forces, scared soldiers. And fading loyalty, then judgment arrived. The massive human ship slowly entered orbit. It didn't fire, didn't speak. It just watched. Below, the people of Oran 1 stared at the sky. Frozen with fear, one last message crossed every screen in the capital. Elias Rayner's face appeared once more, but this time he wasn't cold or angry. He looked calm, strong, clear. "You exiled us. You said we didn't belong, but we survived. We built. We returned, not to destroy, but to show you what we became." He paused. "This is not your galaxy anymore. It belongs to all of us now." Then the screens turned black. Touchdown for the first time since exile. A human shuttle landed on council ground. No warships, just one shuttle. Elias stepped out first. Behind him came Rhea, now a hero across the stars. Alongside them walked alien Elise Varnock, Trell and Grothic leaders of the new alliance. The gates of the council dome opened slowly, not with defiance, but surrender. The last vote inside the council chamber, only a few members remained. The Supreme Speaker stood up. Her voice shook. "What do you want?" Elias stepped forward. "We want a new council," he said. "One built on respect, not fear." "You want to lead?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "We want to share, to build together, to never let what happened to us happen to anyone again." There was silence. Then one by one, the members nodded. For the first time in history, the council voted for peace. The people celebrate across the galaxy. Fireworks lit up rebel worlds. Soldiers laid down their weapons. Slaves were freed. Schools reopened. The old Galactic Council was no more. In its place stood something new, the United Star Alliance. And leading it, as the first among equals, was Earth. The planet that had once been thrown away was now the heart of the galaxy. A quiet victory that night. Rhea walked alone in the gardens of a URON-1. Children laughed in the distance. Music played. Elias joined her. "We did it," she said softly. "We did," he nodded, "but we didn't win with our weapons." Rhea looked at him. "Then how?" "With our will," he replied. "They thought exile would break us, but it made us stronger." He pointed at the stars. "We didn't just come back to survive. We came back for everything."